So we've got a big project for the day. The only way that you're in this room is that you're diagnosable. So we're looking to talk about all the anxiety disorders and OCD. So we're talking about panic disorder, the agoraphobia that tends to restrict your activities to prevent a panic attack. We're talking about social anxiety, my fear of other people judging me, my concern I'm going to stumble and make mistakes and be criticized. We're talking about specific phobias, bridges and heights and all of those natural elements, dogs, snakes. We're talking about generalized anxiety disorder, which is, this is a clinical term if you haven't heard of it, you're a worry-making machine, right? So now, worry-making machine, we want to be thinking about it that way because your worry seems so legitimate. We got to make a shift in the way you perceive your worries. Some of the worries are legitimate and you need to pay attention to it, but others are based on the fact that you generate worries. You may or may not know this experience. You wake up or have some sense of anxiety. Your mind is a worry-making machine. It is a logic-making machine. Everyone's is. So if I start having sensations, my mind is going to give me a reason that is happening. And the disorders tend to take advantage of all of that. And the last territory we'll be talking about is OCD, none of which we're going to spend any length of time on specifically, because we're going to see the general patterns in all of them. The first thing we want to think about is really 4 big moves that we're going to make. And the first is stepping back. And we're going to step back in a few different ways. One is I want to step back and have perspective on why in the world is this happening to me? Why did it happen to me? We're not going to spend any more time than this sentence regarding genetics. Lots of genetics involved in anxiety disorders. Huge amount of genetics in OCD. But we're not going to spend any time on that. What, if anything, am I doing that is helping maintain the problem? We absolutely have to address that. That's our big piece of work. How do we make that kind of change? What do I now do? It's already been mentioned. How do I fix this? So that's the big piece of step back. All day long, that's what we're doing. We're trying to get a perspective on your specific problem so that we get a general sense of what's going on with everybody. Second is, we're going to talk about in more detail later, signal versus noise. Every worry that we have comes into the mind as a signal. You understand what I'm saying? Everything. If it's a worry, initially, it is going to be perceived as something I need to pay attention to. And what we have to separate out is this a legitimate concern I need to pay attention to, or is this something I'm allowed to let go of? So we're going to come back to that segment as the day goes on and visit it several times. Third thing about stepping back, another critical piece of these 4, is I have to step back from what I've decided is my content, my theme, my topic. Because if you don't step back and get a perspective on, wait a minute, I'm doing something in general that's contributing to the trouble. If you can't get off content, then you're going to stay stuck. So we're going to pay a lot of attention to that particular piece because it gets confusing. Do I think about this now? Is this worth my time? Right? So we're going to pay attention to that. The last way that we want to step back is, very specifically, is in the moment, how do I step back and in some way say to myself, oh, it's happening. This is what I'm supposed to work on. Right? You got to step back. There's nothing that we can do unless we step back in the moment. If we're going to redirect the moment, we have to disengage from it for at least few seconds so that we have some kind of observer that names it. Then we can decide what to do next. So we're going to talk about how to do that particular piece. What is the most common element that's in this room? All of you have the same challenger. You're all different. Of course, you're all special and unique, right? But the common denominator is what you're up against. And it is a pretty dominant challenger. It is clever, it's manipulative, it takes advantage of you, it looks for a weakness. If you're a new mother and have your first baby and OCD goes, oh, there's an opportunity. She loves this baby. She would never, in her right mind, harm her baby. That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to scare, and here's another clinical term, I'm going to scare the bejesus out of her about whether or not she can be in control when she's holding her infant. So anxiety disorders look for that.